for some nerd power. It's the Falcon Paladin Hour, a podcast by Falcon Paladin and Somicron. Falcon hates puns and thinks that they're all wrong. One's American and one is an Aussie. Talking about StarCraft 2 and the esports scene.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, good sir. It is nice to be in this winter wonderland today.
Yeah, it doesn't normally snow in Australia, but I busted out a can of fake snow to make it look nice.
Yeah, put a giant pencil up in that mountain over there for festivity. I really do appreciate that attention to detail.
The pencil is an important American Christmas tradition, is it not?
It is. I mean, it has to be not just a pencil. It needs to be a giant pencil sticking out of the top of a mountain.
I thought that was a
giant pencil
snow-covered
anywhere
Christmas
else. Is that a tree? Look how big that is compared to the other trees.
Look how big you are compared to the other trees.
I'm in the foreground.
Okay, fine. That's a mountain, apparently.
I think it is.
I just thought it was a giant Christmas tree. They're like
I mean,
utterly snow-covered.
Yeah. But then you'd have the little like jaggy things. The other trees have like the right
Sure, yeah.
things indicating that they are Christmas trees because they have different tiers to them, which is a Christmas tree thing. Anyway,
Sure.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we actually got some snow 3 days ago that I didn't bother to shovel the driveway for, though I should have. So here, I mean, the problem with snow is that if it snows and you drive on it, because it's on your driveway and you drive on the driveway, and then it snows again, it becomes like 300 times worse to shovel because you have a layer of compact iced snow underneath the freshly fallen snow, and it sucks. So yesterday I was like, oh, the forecast says it's going to snow again. So I went out there and I shoveled all the garbage off, and my driveway is clear now, and all ready for another thing of snow to come through tonight, and it will just be one layer instead of two, making the job tomorrow much easier. You got to plan ahead for this kind of stuff.
You do. I'm still glad I don't ever have to shovel snow. Like, as an Australian, I'm just like, nah, it's not a thing. It's fine.
Good call.
I mean, you have my sympathy, but you don't have my shovel.
No, that's entirely fair. When I'm super rich, I'm going to put heated coils in my driveway so that the snow lands on it and just instantly evaporates.
I mean, you've got indentured servants. I mean, children. Why don't you have them do it?
I do, but they're only here half the time because of the custody agreement. So like, they're not here this week. I can't get them to shovel anything.
Then just don't go anywhere. Like,
I mean, that's my plan, honestly, is tomorrow I'm not going anywhere.
Then you don't need to shovel it. It's fine.
True. But
Like,
I don't know, what if there's
only
an
impacted
emergency?
If you drive. There's an emergency. Walk. I don't know. Get an Uber.
What if I need Taco Bell and it's an emergency?
Get it delivered.
Yeah, but then they drive on my driveway and the problem is the same.
Tell them to park on the street and you walk out to meet them. Like,
oh, that sounds terrible too, though. Then I have to walk on my driveway.
so hold on. You're saying like the difference between walking to somewhat like to the street is the same as having to shovel the entire driveway? Like those are the same in terms of awfulness.
No, but it introduces the problem of now you have hard compact snow.
Right, on a few footsteps versus like having to shovel
versus being driven over a few times, right?
Right. Like it's just or don't have Taco Bell. Like eat in, make a sandwich.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I do have food. So it's not like I'm going to starve to death. Right. Exactly. Anyway, yeah. So expecting some big time snow to come through. It's been nice today. It was like 55 degrees and sunny, and
does sound
it was kind of windy though, and you'd kind of see off towards the mountains this dark forebodingness over there, and it was like, okay, well, it's on its way. So yeah, the temperature needs to drop like 30 something degrees, 30 plus degrees in order to get us snow tonight, but I believe it.
89 degrees here. But it's
roasty toasty.
Yeah,
it must be summer.
Yeah. Sun's out.
Yeah.
I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I need milk. I need to go to the shops. I don't want to go anywhere. Just
Too hot, too cold, don't go anywhere. Good
yeah,
plan. I
yeah.
like
Stay
this.
home. Turn the AC on. Fine.
Yeah, so that's the weather adventure in my neck of the woods.
Excellent.
I mean, it's always good. Every year they're like, the more snow we get in the winter, the less there's a drought in the summertime. So,
Sure.
because the snow just packs all up on the mountains and then melts very slowly, and then we have rivers flowing in July, and it's nice. We'll see how that goes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, I just spent the last 2 hours struggling with my GeForce Experience recording software, trying to get it so I can record a game or two before the podcast. That did not happen
No.
because I did a lot of fighting.
You just need a different recording setup. Like that's you shouldn't have to fight with it every other day.
It's not every other day. It's
I
like every
feel like
6
it is.
months
I
I go to
feel like
use
it
it and it's
is.
like, and then I fix it, and then another 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I have to fight with it again. It's not, if it was every day, I wouldn't use it, is the thing.
I feel like
It's not
it
that
is.
often.
I feel like
I
I
know.
feel like I hear about it a lot. What you need then is just a a dedicated backup. Being like, if this doesn't work immediately when I go to use it, I just have this and I'll deal with it later.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could use like OBS or whatever for screen recording, but I've heard horror stories about that too from people that do that. Like Dead Infested's complained about it, RJB's complained about it, where they're like, I recorded a whole thing and it didn't record the audio at all for no obvious reason. Like all the settings are right, it just didn't pick up the audio. And it's like, cool, that's what I want to do.
I don't know. That sounds like user error.
I mean,
look,
sure.
Everything's gonna have issues. Like you can find someone to complain about anything, right?
Yeah, right.
But I'm not saying the other solutions are gonna necessarily be better. I'm just saying you need a second solution, right? Like I want to get a couple games in before the podcast. Just have something ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
All right. Fair enough. But I'm always like, it's got to be something quick. But then, the other problem is this software's been around for so long that if you search for problems about it, a lot of the results are like from 6 years ago. And they're talking about versions of the product that don't exist anymore. Like there's an entire NVIDIA streamer service that used to be required for GeForce Experience to work. And they don't, like, they somehow developed an update to where they don't need that anymore. So it, like, so much of it is different. Anyway, it's stupid.
Like, are they even supporting it anymore?
Yeah,
like the recording. Like,
for it.
obviously the GeForce is still getting updates because that's how they get their But like, it used to be called Shadowplay, and now I don't know if that's there. Like, are they still actively updating it?
Yeah, no, GeForce Experience gets updates. I got one like 2 weeks ago.
GeForce Experience is how they deliver drivers. So obviously, that is.
And for
being
the
updated.
recording, I mean, they basically they stopped using the term Shadowplay entirely. I think it's the same software. They've just bundled it a little more tightly to the GeForce Experience, and they just call the whole thing GeForce Experience now.
Okay. Well, their website still calls it Shadowplay, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Shadowplay anywhere in GeForce Experience anymore.
No, it does not.
Yeah. And I think they're trying to get away from the branding, but like they're a kind of a shit company, so they can't get that correct all the time everywhere.
Fair enough.
Anyway, yeah. So the fix was there's a setting that you have to turn on for it to be able to record your desktop for privacy purposes. You're like, don't accidentally record your desktop with your giant horse porn folder up there and embarrass yourself in front of all of your subs. So make sure you know what you're doing. And I always have that on because I record my desktop for stuff. But I found a random post from someone on the forums from a couple days ago complaining about this, saying I turned that off and then I could record my games. And I was like, that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. But you know what? I'm desperate enough to try it. So I went and turned it off, and now I can record Brood War. Hooray. It's the dumbest. I'm very upset about it.
Wunderbar.
I got nothing. I got nothing. Computers are just black, dark, horrible magic sometimes.
Often, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, probably often. Fair enough. Anywho, what else is going on? I went running
Oh yeah.
today.
How's the knee?
Yeah,
Held
it's
up?
good. It's been like it's felt 100% for about 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay. And I like did some tests, kind of like joggings, and I was like, I doesn't feel like I broke anything. So yeah, I went and I ran on it, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping whatever the problem was fixed itself,
Excellent.
because bodies are kind of magic sometimes too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm gonna keep running. We'll see how that goes. Did we talk about? No, I don't think we talked about this on the pod at all, or maybe at all.
I don't know. We haven't
So
we haven't done one of these in a while.
yeah, so I go to the doctor, get the knee X-rayed to see if there's anything visibly broken, like a bone is cracked or something's misaligned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's like, nah, everything's cool there, but the level of cartilage you have in your knee is super low. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man. Like, for how old you are, it is much lower than it should be. And I'm like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell my mom I got an X-ray and the doctor mentioned the cartilage, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's osteoarthritis. I have that." And I'm like, "What?" Like, we never had this conversation. She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." Like years and years ago, same thing. Doctor said I had low cartilage in my knees, and it's officially called osteoarthritis. And there's nothing you can really do about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it sucks. And eventually, all of the cartilage will be gone, and then you won't be able to do any high impact exercise at all because it will just be pain. I was like, sweet.
You waited until I was 40 to tell me that my life will just be pain.
Yeah.
The thing, like,
She was so happy. She's like upbeat about it. She's like, "Oh, so if you move your knee and you like kind of put your hand on it to feel, are there like cracking sounds?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's what it is." And I was like, "Oh no."
you might need to slow down on the running and find something a little less impactful.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking. But at the same time, she's found some studies, and I've found some stuff too that says that high impact exercise can actually help delay
Oh.
the reduction of cartilage. Like it stimulates some stuff that prevents the cartilage from
Mhm.
decreasing as fast as it does.
Okay. Okay.
And they're like, as long as you're not in pain as you're running, like, I don't know, they said keep doing it. So
Hmm. Fair enough.
I'm gonna keep doing it because I don't know. I've tried like elliptical bikes before and stationary bikes, and running just gets your heart rate up real fast. It's just you run, your heart is like boom, and you just stay there and you get your workout done. And when I'm on a bike, it takes a few minutes for it to get there. And I don't know. It's just a different type of
Mm,
exercise.
mm.
So
Knee pain or a few extra minutes on the bike. Knee
right.
pain or a
But it's
few extra minutes on the bike.
every day though. That's minutes that add up to hours, that add up into days and weeks and months
You
that I'm on a bike.
you're not gonna get to months. You don't have that long.
I don't do. I mean, I'll trust your math on that one because I don't. I'm not gonna do it.
Like an extra 3 full minutes a day. You going every day or like 3 days a week?
I skip Sundays, I guess. 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So good news, nothing's permanently broken in there.
Right.
But bad news, something's kind of permanently broken in there. It was quite a week. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm glad you don't have to get it amputated or something. So.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I'm just glad it's not like a tissue tear or something that required surgery because I
Yeah.
don't want surgery. Nobody wants surgery.
Statistically, nobody wants surgery. Yeah.
Right. I guess there are some weirdos who probably get off on getting surgery, but
Right, and there are people who want like plastic surgery. It's still surgery. They want it.
that's true.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah, but statistically, nobody wants surgery. Surgery. Like you
No,
don't want a knee
generally not.
replacement surgery. Nobody wants that.
No. Oh, that's the other thing. Mom was like, my doctor said I can get a knee replacement whenever I want. And, like it's just a standing invitation. Doctor's like, you have no cartilage. If you want a new knee, we can get you one. And she's like, she's the same way. I don't want surgery. Like
Mhm.
she says that walking is fine. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Probably get in there before we run out of antibiotics. If you want to get your knee replaced, do it before we run out of antibiotics. That's my advice.
Is it a running out thing, or are we just developing bugs that are resistant to antibiotics?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah. But we can't run out. We can grow this stuff on like bread.
Right. No,
Right?
I think by running out, it implies to running out of their effectiveness. Like we're not going to run out of pills or whatever. Like.
Yes. Okay, so just making sure that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Done that.
Cool. So yeah, old man knee complaints.
Yep. Have you considered a walking stick, just in case?
Ooh,
You'd be like House, the StarCraft version of House.
Yeah, and I could get a sword in there. That'd be so cool. Have a sword cane.
Yeah, sword cane. Sure.
Because like you kind of always want a sword cane, but like having a cane when you don't need one's a little dumb. Like a 22-year-old walking around with a cane is a little suspicious.
I did that for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're older, you can get away with a cane a little bit more. They're like,
he's old.
He's got some gray in his beard. That cane is probably legit, is what they say.
That is, yep. That's how it works. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So is your move over? I mean, you don't have a mattress, but other than that,
other than the lack of anywhere to sleep besides my couch, yeah, the move's over.
Excellent.
Everything's done. We no longer have access to the old place, so if I left anything there, I'm not getting it back. But yeah, everything's done. Everything's more or less set up. Still need to go out and buy like some fiddly bits and shit. Like it's like, oh, we don't have any salt and pepper shakers. Cool. Like you just work out all these things that we don't have anymore.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So that's great. Really enjoying
especially when you're renting. You're just like, oh, I thought that was ours. That's staying? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Well, good. I'm glad it's over. Movies are the worst. So I'm glad that it is complete. And you're just waiting on a mattress. It's fine.
Waiting forever on that mattress.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It has been nice. I took a little bit of time off from work after the move to play Halo Infinite.
Which, yes, you did.
Yeah, I put 26 hours in. 29, but I've played through some of the campaign again, and maybe like 3 hours of the multiplayer. So let's say a 20-hour campaign. I have issues, but overall, largely good. Like it's pretty good. I feel like it's like trying very hard to ape the original trilogy games. It's like, oh, we need you to go to this place called the Silent Auditorium. And I'm like, is it called the Silent Auditorium because in Halo 1 you had to go to the Silent Cartographer? Is that why it's called Silent Auditorium?
And they go, no.
And I'm like, oh, does the first level start on a spaceship that slowly explodes? Because in Halo 1 you start on the Pillar of Autumn that slowly explodes as it is boarded by the Covenant. Is that what we're doing here? Are we recreating the first level? I'm like, no, now climb through this climb through this air duct real quick.
Just for no reason. Not because the ship's falling apart or anything. Just do it.
We need to teach you how to crouch, okay? That's all this is.
Yeah. I kind of feel for him. Like, I do understand. I don't know. I kind of get how it would feel to be like, we have a hugely successful video game franchise and they expect us to make another one, but it can't be too different from the previous ones, but it can't be exactly the same either. I just feel like that's kind of a hard line to walk. That's all.
It is, and they've had 3 attempts at it, and this is the first one they've kind of gotten all right.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the most different because it's open world.
True. Yeah. So, okay, so explain how they did that exactly.
Well, so there are various levels that you have to do, right? So
yeah.
the ship exploding at the start, right? Also, I would like to say God, they really don't explain everything that happened. Okay, I want to rant about Halo 5 before I explain how open world works. I'm so annoyed. Halo
All right,
5
go ahead.
is Cortana goes rogue. She's like gone rampant at the end of Halo 4.
It's not that she's gone rogue. She's developed dementia. It's AI dementia.
Right, she develops dementia. She then plugs into I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the Forerunner internet, right? Essentially, and it fixes her dementia. She's fine, right? She's no longer going to think herself to death, right?
But at what cost?
The cost is she goes crazy and goes rogue and starts like she's
Well,
not.
hold on,
when I say
hold
she
on.
goes crazy, I don't mean she's like lost her faculties, right? Like she's just like, oh, I'm a god, right? Like I'm an AI that won't ever die. I can awaken these ancient Forerunner weapons called Guardians, and I can instill, a fear throughout the galaxy and rule. That's her plan.
Okay. So hold on. She goes from I don't want to die, this sucks, to I'm gonna live forever. Immediately develops megalomania.
Yeah,
and wants to conquer the galaxy.
right. Because she thinks she can
And
literally, she thinks she can fix the world.
And
through
John's
fear.
like, this is not an improvement.
Yeah, but Halo 5 basically ends with her waking up all these Guardians. And there's some like dumb line where it's like, one of these could, peacekeep for like half the galaxy, and she's got 50
blah,
of
blah.
them, right? Blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah, right? Like, these are
It's
super
Rise of Skywalker. We've got 100 million Star Destroyers that can all kill planets.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway, Halo Infinite comes out, and it's like, flash forward 6 months. Cortana's dead, don't worry about it. Like, that's literally what happens at the start. It's like, don't worry, the problem's been taken care of. She's not an issue now. I'm like, what?
I mean,
It's like, yeah, we killed her. Don't you remember, Chief? It's like, the plan was to deploy another AI that could mimic and infiltrate her systems, which would then like delete her and then delete itself. And that happened, and then the Chief, something happens. He ends up in like cryo for 6 months, finds the other AI, and was like, yeah, we killed Cortana. Did you hit your head, Chief? I was supposed to be deleted. I don't know what happened. I'm still here. And they only ever called this AI the weapon, despite it being a carbon copy of Cortana. So in my head, I'm like, oh, that's Photana. That's fine. Because she just like comes along for the ride. And at the very end, we're like, all right, so Cortana's still dead, right? Like, that's true. Like, they just hand whisked away
they killed Cortana off screen?
Yeah. In
Oh
between
my
games.
gosh.
After setting her up as the main antagonist.
Oh, this hurts me. Okay.
Right.
This is just storytelling problems. This isn't gameplay at all.
Uh,
This is just they don't know how to write basic story.
I mean, because the nature of the open world and the stuff that you can find out is kind of at your own pace. It's a little bit of a gameplay problem because.
No, but I just mean the choice to kill Cortana off screen in between games has nothing to do with the gameplay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much to complain about there. It's like, oh, she has all these Guardians, and turns out the actual main protagonist is just some brute who's like pissed off that Cortana destroyed his planet, and so he made an army to go and fight her. All right, and there's some like the Chief has like some like lingering regrets and shame that he couldn't get to Cortana first to save her, and this other brute was there and he was gonna kill her. I'm like, but what happened to her war machines? Like, her giant galaxy destroying Guardians. What happened to those?
Hand waved?
Hand waved, exactly. I have no idea what's going on.
Hand waved.
Oh, so annoying. And the brute, like, the brute's like whole thing is like, he's trying to like get the Chief to go into like some kind of like test of glory. Like, these two legends are gonna have this glorious showdown, and their stories will be sung in songs for generations to come. And because it's open world, you can skip a lot of the stuff, like where he's like talking to you. He's like popping up on holograms everywhere. And it's like, oh, here's a hologram that you should listen to while you wait for the elevator. And I'm like, you gave me a grappling hook. I'm just going to spider climb up the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what this guy's doing, like what he really wants. And then at the end he dies, and the chief's like, yeah, I showed him respect at the end, because at the end he was just a soldier wondering if he did the right thing. I'm like, that doesn't seem like anything what he's about. Oh,
No.
massive disconnect for me. I have no idea what's going on in the story in this game.
What a mess.
And at the very end, like the folk Fotana, she's like, oh, so I guess I'm just like sticking around then. And they're like, oh, we never asked you for your name. And the chief's like, you get to pick your own name. Cortana did. And she goes, great, I think I've got the perfect one. And then the guy who was asking for a name goes, great, that'll do. Turns around and goes back to piloting the Pelican. It's like, the fuck? Tell me her name. Like, what did she pick?
Why is this hidden from us?
Why is this dialogue written like this? Someone asks for your name, just be like, it's this. Don't tell me you've picked something and then not tell us.
Dear Halo, I will write for you guys. You can pay me less than you're paying your current person because they suck. And you'll get better writing. Let's do this.
I will do it, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of just like annoying little things where it's like, oh, we've discovered some ruins of a previous civilization on the ring, older than the Forerunners. I'm like, the Forerunners built the ring. The fuck does that mean? How are they older than the Forerunners? And that's like
chronology is hard.
Chronology is hard, and it's like I'm 90% sure it's like setting up the precursors, which is a thing in the books.
Yeah.
And just like overall story kind of disappointing. Everyone on Twitter is like racing to give 343 a blowjob over how good it is, though, and I'm like, no, it's not. But
there's problems.
Running around in the open world with like a grappling hook, climbing up mountains is fun. Everything else is basically fine, right? Like it's actually really fun mechanically for Halo, which is better than the last game. So I'll take it.
Improvement is improvement.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So how the open world works, like you asked 20 minutes ago. There are certain levels that are like, hey, this is going to be a mission. And then other than that, it's like, all right, you have this part of the island chain to, because the ring's kind of broken up, like it's got a giant hole in it. So some of the islands aren't really connected anymore. There's just like a sea of fall here and you fall into space. So you can't just go everywhere immediately. Eventually they magically connect bridges somehow. But there are a bunch of like little forward operating bases that you can go and take over. And then there are banished outposts. So it's not the Covenant, it's the banished that you're fighting. That's the faction term. But they're basically they're the Covenant, but brutes are in charge. They gave everything a red and black paint job, but it's the Covenant.
It's the exact same group of aliens. It's got every single one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
Oh, except for drones. For some reason, they keep writing drones out of the story. It's like, oh, we have these flying bug-like units. Do we want to include those? Nah. Let's introduce something else instead. That filled the same power. It's really bad. Then like halfway through the game, they're like, hey, there's these new enemies. I think they're called harpies. I don't remember because they're really, really bland, and they basically are just drones, except not. Yeah, it's great.
Sure, whatever they want to do.
So every now and then you'll unlock this, like the next story mission, but you can spend some time running around looking for Spartan cores, which are how you upgrade your armor, and audio logs, and there are ever dotted around the map. There are like Marines who are like under attack, and you've got to go and save them. And then you unlock valor points, and the more valor points you have is basically their way of saying, oh, those Marines you saved, when you go back to a base, they can like spawn there, and you can take them with you if you like summon a warthog or whatever. They'll get in and ride along with you.
Are they worth anything?
Yeah, I mean,
they actually help in fights.
They can, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay,
because you
that's
can
good.
like okay, so there are also like upgraded version of weapons that you can unlock, and so there's a video I think of one of the YouTubers. He gives everyone a one of these upgraded like plasma rifles, like carbines. I think pulse carbines. I think is what they're called, and basically
Mhm.
gets 6 Marines into a transport hog, and they all just like instantly snap and target fire everything at the same time, and it looks like they have just a giant plasma turret stuck on the back because it's all just this combined fire, and it works really well. Yeah, so they
Okay.
they
Yeah,
can do stuff. Like I
that's
never
good.
bothered because I just grappling hooked away from everything. I'm like,
Yeah, I have
yeah,
a hard time with that. I hear.
yeah. But every now and then I'd come down from a mountain and there'd be like full Marines with their rifles being like, "Ah, we're coming, Sarge. We're coming, Chief. It's fine. We'll be there in a minute." And I'm
We
like,
gotcha. We got your back.
and then I'd accidentally taser one of them. Yeah, because you get taser webs. So
I was gonna say, you can friendly fire these guys?
yeah, yeah.
Nice. That's funny.
Oh, I didn't mean to. Sorry, boys. But uh, so I have a feeling there will definitely be um story DLC for this game at some point. But overall, I hope they like really fix their shit for that one. But overall, pretty good.
Good.
I recommend.
Hmm. All right. And you said the co-op campaign is going to show up in like
6
July.
months, yeah, probably.
Yeah. All
Because
right.
somehow having 2 players spawn in would be too difficult.
I don't understand how.
Not a clue. Couldn't tell
It's not like the cinematics ever care there's two of you. Like
you.
what are they accounting for?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
I have no idea. Oh god, and they also there's boss fights now, and there's like
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like well, as Halo's always had boss fights, but now like there's
Mhm.
lots of boss fights, and the boss fights are like, hey, here's a brute, but he has extra health. When you headshot him, he doesn't die for some reason. I'm like, great, thanks. Pretty
Because
0 out of 10 on those for me.
yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's about it.
All right. I've been playing Knights of the Old Republic 2
Okay,
on Steam lately.
how's that been?
It's been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's see they also have to straddle the line between KOTOR was really well received.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make something that is pretty close to what KOTOR was, but not exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because in KOTOR you have they use this is like a 25-year-old game spoiler. Like watch out for this.
How dare you?
But it's really clever because they use the concept that you don't know your own backstory because you just popped into this game
Mm-hmm.
as um your character doesn't remember any of their backstory, but you don't notice because you never do, right? Like it's not something where if you get dropped into a game, especially in 1998 or 2000 or whatever it is, you're never like, where's the backstory for this character? You don't care. It's not something you ever think about.
Right.
So when they reveal that you're the Dark Lord Revan, like you were this huge antagonist that conquered the whole galaxy, was in the process of doing it,
Uh-huh.
and then suddenly disappeared, and that's you,
Mm-hmm.
you're like head explode. It's this really clever reveal that's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so they couldn't do the exact same thing for KOTOR 2.
Mm-hmm.
So instead what they do is they just give you a character that you know some of their backstory, but not most of it, and
Okay.
then they just kinda gradually reveal it to you over time as you talk to other people,
Sure.
and things like that. So it's interesting. Also, they retconned my version of KOTOR because KOTOR has a few different branching story options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can redeem Revan
Mm-hmm.
and basically turn him into a light side Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
or you can choose to follow the dark side and he just goes back to what he was doing.
Right.
Apparently, the latter option is the one that
The
they
canonical
chose
one.
for KOTOR 2, the canonical one, yeah.
Yeah.
So it just bothers me because every time someone in the story is like, and then Revan went bad again, and I'm like, no, he didn't. He was good. I turned him to the light side. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Actually, and I think Revan canonically is a woman too. I'm remembering now.
Vaguely think so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so KOTOR 2's been good. It's fun. It really doesn't like the concept of light side and dark side.
No?
No, it's the first Jedi you meet is this old lady who's basically kind of just hanging out in the middle. Like, she doesn't think that Jedi are good. She doesn't think they're dumb or bad. She's not a Sith.
Mm-hmm.
She just does her own thing for her own purposes and just lives in this gray area of being a Jedi and having the Force.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Jedi like that in KOTOR 1 named Jolee Bindo who just lives on Kashyyyk and like hangs out on his own and isn't part of the Jedi Council at all or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what this basically is. Like, all the Jedi got hunted down and killed during a Jedi Civil War featuring Revan. So there aren't any left, and you're basically the only one. So I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff happens in a very short amount of time, and it's trying to do a lot of stuff, and it's trying very much to avoid the light side, dark side arguments that are traditional in Star Wars stories.
Mm.
So I appreciate that. They also, man, this is crazy. So you run into this random smuggler pilot dude, right? Who's the Han Solo stand-in.
Right.
And it turns out that he, during the Jedi Civil War, was part of an elite, like regular person hit squad to
Okay.
go assassinate Jedi.
Sure.
And I had never really considered that would be a thing. Like, I always figured Jedi had to kill Jedi, or I guess clones killing Jedi in Order 66.
Right.
It's a pretty solid example of non-Jedi killing Jedi.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, he basically laid this whole thing out. He's like, look, if your emotions are super clouded by like anger or fear or really strong emotions, then they can't read you. Like, Jedi do not have the ability to get to your true intentions if you're just running on extreme emotion all the time. So you can camouflage yourself with them. And then no, you don't walk up to them and start shooting at them with a blaster. You poison them. You'll lure them into traps.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
you get them into a room and you fill the room with gas, and, like, Jedi suck against that, and, like, that's a fair point, actually.
I mean, I feel like you're gonna come across some Jedi who's like, I can just force block all the gas vents. It's fine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I
Is it-
assume it wasn't the same plan every time.
Right, no, but it's always interesting when there's like, we're gonna kill them via environmental effects, and there's no Jedi who's there who's like, oh, I have such a great control over my like ability to wield the Force that I can just separate the gas from the oxygen molecules in the air. Like, why not?
Right. And I mean, that's the thing, like, Jedi have varying levels of skill when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some you definitely would not be able to kill that way. Others
Mm-hmm.
maybe, especially younger ones.
Sure.
Anyway, so they just introduced the concept of non-force users kind of hunting down and exterminating Jedi, and I was like, okay, that's interesting too. So just a lot of interesting non-standard Star Wars concepts in here.
Mm-hmm.
That again just is testament to just to the idea that the toolbox is good,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? The Star Wars toolbox is big and varied and broad, and there's a lot of stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell a Star Wars story that introduces concepts with stuff inside the toolbox that feel new and fresh and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you got to do. Just use the toolbox. You don't have to bring stuff from the outside and make up your own things and ideas. Just use what's there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Fair
So,
enough.
anyways, it's good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this. Honestly, I think it's a good story. It's interesting, and yeah, that's the other thing. You keep picking up characters to be part of your team who aren't necessarily good or bad. Yeah, it's just the story in general. It's just not interested in morality as a
Mm-hmm.
black and white thing, and I find that really interesting for a Star Wars story. So,
Mm. Because like original trilogy, it's like, oh, the Emperor's bad and he knows it. Right? Like,
Yes, that's exactly the point. Or
Right.
Kylo Ren is super evil until we redeem him at the very last second before he dies. Which great, great writing there, everyone. But yeah, Emperor Palpatine's evil. Darth Vader, again, evil with a slight turn to light in the last 4 seconds of his life.
Right. I genuinely feel like the slight tone to light, it was understood by Lucas, like the original trilogy, being like, yeah, you can't just have Darth Vader come back to the Rebel base and hang out and celebrate on Endor with the Ewoks. Like, nobody there is going to be okay with that. Like, he can't get out of that Death Star alive.
Right.
So I feel like letting them have the he's good now, but he's dead is totally fine if you do it once in your story. If you then just like, all right, let's do that again because soft reboot. With Kylo
Yeah.
Ren, it's
Because
cheaping it.
because again, the writers of the sequel trilogies didn't know how to write an interesting new story within the toolbox of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Abrams was just retelling New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Johnson wanted to pull a whole bunch of garbage from the outside that doesn't come from the Star Wars toolbox. And then JJ tried to fix everything by basically doing Revenge of like Return of the Jedi again. So
Kind of, yeah.
kind of. I mean, it's it's defeating the Emperor again. So
It's true. But he introduced force healing, so it's okay.
oh, that's true. That's true. He did. That's
Yeah.
a good point.
Yep.
I think that was in the expanded universe, but
It might have been, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it hasn't been in any of the movies. That's for sure.
Yeah. Same with
That's one of those things where you're
Tilt.
like, that would have been really handy in about 87 different places
Yeah.
in the Star Wars films, and they never used it once.
Yeah. No, nobody realized you could use the force to manipulate someone's body into healing faster.
Right.
Right. Even though
The
force
power that is
midichlorians.
life. Yeah. No one ever tried it. Just like, whatevs.
Whatevs. Well, they probably all thought it was dark side powers, using the force to manipulate life. It's clearly a dark side power.
Maybe they did.
Maybe.
Anywho, KOTOR 2, more interesting than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah.
good job.
KOTOR. Good game.
Good job,
Turns
studio. Mm-hmm.
BioWare did that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so. They did KOTOR 1. I'm assuming they did 2. Oh, no, maybe
Obsidian.
not. It's an Obsidian title.
Obsidian and Asper, they did the Mac port, the Windows port, basically. Mac, Windows, and Linux ports. Yeah, so Obsidian. Fair enough. Obsidian do good games.
They've got a pretty good library. I think so.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I'm always excited to see a good story using the Star Wars toolbox, which is, again, what I think Star Wars Visions was really good at doing on Disney Plus that we talked about. It's good. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's not like I think about it all the time. It's not the best thing ever, but it's all pretty good.
Right.
And I'm bummed because it sounds like they're delaying the Rogue Squadron movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I saw something about this the other day. It's delayed, according to Hollywood Reporter last month. So, I mean, this isn't new news, but they wanted to start production in 2022, but it sounds like they probably won't until 2023. So, I don't know. At least it's not canceled. That's nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'll take delayed over cancel any day of the week.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Yeah, that's Star Wars. I've been watching Hawkeye on Disney Plus.
I've been watching that as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
It's fun. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's not really leaving it like a big impact. Like, there's not much for me to be like to complain about or to care, like not to not care about, but nothing that's super grabbing me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Did you see Black Widow?
Yeah, I've seen Black Widow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when Yelena came up, you were like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's her sister." Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say the more I watch it, the less I am, less I care about arguments of like, why isn't Spider-Man showing up? I'm like, oh, you mean at this underground black market auction in the middle of the night? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't know why Spider-Man isn't showing up to that. You know, like he can't be
No.
everywhere at once. Like,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
yeah, like there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, there's no reason for Spider-Man to show up for this. It's fine. I think when you summon a giant arrow and block out the Brooklyn Bridge or whatever it was, I think maybe some other superhero should show up for that because there's a giant arrow in your bridge. Maybe there, but like that's about it.
Yeah, there are a few things that happen where it's like, and then Spider-Man swings in and says, "You got this," and then Clint goes, "Yep," and then Spider-Man goes away at the end. That's all I need. Actually, I don't even need that. We talked about this. All I need is for them to acknowledge that someone else exists in this world. I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand. Their motivation for not saying any other hero's name is not so the audience doesn't go, "Hey, yeah, where is Thor?"
Right. Well, I mean, Thor's off with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so he's not showing up.
Sure, probably.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's yeah, we know that.
Having ventures. Yeah.
He's not on Earth. I mean, theoretically, he could still summon the Bifrost. So I mean, he could show up, but he would need to know, and no amount of giant arrows is making its way into space.
Probably not.
No,
that is probably not.
I was a little, well, that's bullshit when they were like, oh, we can't get any new trick arrows. We've got to go get the old ones back. I'm like,
yeah, what was that? Okay, I needed to know who was making the trick arrows, Clint.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it was you if you can't make any more. So who was it and what happened to them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no idea. That bothered me. I was like, what do you mean you don't get more arrows?
Especially when it was like, oh, we need to go get the old ones, and the blob arrows still work. It's like, okay, so you can refill the blob arrows to cover the silent alarm in the apartment, right?
Or it was just. But I mean, there was more than one blob arrow. I don't know. Well, obviously, there was.
I mean, okay, obviously there was two, but
yeah,
if you can recreate, because I would have figured that the whatever the trick part of the arrow is the hard part to do. So if you can recreate whatever it is you need for the trick arrow, why can't you just make more arrows?
Right.
Like, why not?
I don't know why. And I mean, if Kate is supposed to be the new Hawkeye, where's she gonna get trick arrows? It's not as fun if she's just regular shooting arrow person. She needs trick arrows.
It's true facts. It's true facts.
Yeah, I think we need to resolve this problem before the end of the series, because if Hawkeye is just Kate shooting regular arrows at bad guys, I'm gonna be like, not as fun.
I will also say I am annoyed that they're like, and now up for auction is the Ronin sword and its sheath, and I'm like, it collapses. Why does it need a sheath? Why does it have a sheath? Like, it literally collapses into like a handle. Like, you can fit it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a retractable sword with a sheath. That's a very interesting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit odd. Also, creepy mustache man. He just is like, oh, this Avenger broke into my house. I'm going to threaten him with a sword I stole instead of one of the 1,000 of swords I've got hanging on my walls.
It's not his house, though. It's Kate's mom's house.
Yeah, but he lives there. Like,
does he?
I assume so.
I know they're engaged. Do they live together?
I would assume so if they're engaged.
I mean,
is there a reason for him not to live there? Because I assumed
he has a better house. I don't know.
He lives in a penthouse in New York. Who has a better house?
All his stuff's in his other house. He's got it set up the way that he wants it.
All of his swords are here. Like, he's got it set up the way he wants it.
How do you know the?
Like, if you're not living with someone and that person lets you decorate their entire house with swords, just move in.
Yeah. Well, so they discovered that his name is in there as the president of Sloan Limited, which the Tracksuit Mafia works for.
Mm-hmm.
So then the question is he actually a bad guy or is he set up as some kind of like patsy or someone's just using his name,
Mm.
right? Do you think he's a bad guy?
Probably,
Because
yeah.
they're trying to make us think that he is, but that's usually Marvel's more sneaky than that.
Right, you think he's the red herring. Like,
Yeah, I do.
I would have believed him much more likely to be a red herring if they hadn't had done the fencing duel where he like feigned being really bad and then was actually incredible, like able to block strikes coming from the side that he's not aware of and like disarm her in a single swish of his sword. Right? He's too competent to be just some guy. Like competency usually means importancy in Marvel. Like,
Right. So I don't know.
yeah.
I am curious about the watch, right? They
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on the watch in the first episode, and then they made sure to have that conversation between Hawkeye and his wife,
Mm-hmm.
where she asks about the watch
Yeah.
first thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Ooh, yeah, good point." And it's like, "What is this thing? Like, it
Yeah.
can't just be a watch,"
Right.
because he's like, "We got to get it back, or it's going to blow the cover of this person I really care about." And it's like, "What? What? It's a
Who?
watch,
Who
and
is it?
how and who?"
I mean, I assume the how is it's got an engraving on it or something, or it opens up and it's got a "I am Superman" from Clark Kent, right? Like, it just spills the beams somehow in some very obvious way. It's like it's got a photo of
Yeah.
Clint Barton and whoever this underground person is, because I have no idea.
I don't either. Been some theorizing that it's Daredevil because Daredevil is part of the MCU as of like 3 weeks ago, according to Feige.
Mm, right.
And he's trying to hide his identity for sure.
Sure.
There is the theory that Laura, Hawkeye's wife, is an ex-Shield agent,
Okay.
or I don't know, maybe ex-KGB or something,
Mm-hmm.
and that she's hiding out and doesn't want her identity to be known, and this will reveal her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean,
Mm.
I don't think we have enough information to answer any of those questions yet,
No.
but
No. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
yeah,
Perfectly
I
enjoyable.
enjoy it. I mean, yeah, I really like Haley, is it Atwell?
The
Kate?
new Archer, the new hero, the new
Yeah.
Hawkeye, the one who's obsessed with
Steinfeld,
branding.
that's what it is. Yeah. Haley Steinfeld, she's great. I like her a lot. I liked her in Bumblebee, Transformers movie.
Oh, is that her?
Uh-huh, that's her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I liked her in that.
Yeah, and I liked her in True Grit from like 2012 when she was like 15.
Mm.
She was really good in that too. I just think she's a good actress. She's funny and she's good at doing the drama stuff too, and I think that's pretty much all I can ask for from someone who's, I think she's like 25 or something.
Mm. Fair
Yeah, so
enough.
she's a good addition, I think, to the MCU, as well as Florence Pugh, who is Yelena.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I don't know. Future of the MCU will be interesting.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see it going away anytime soon.
No. 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 Of course not. Make too much money off it to go away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was what they needed to do, right? Because they got rid of Chris Evans, they got rid of Robert Downey Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
right? They got rid of Scarlett Johansson, like a bunch of big names left.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were going to keep the level of interest that they had, they needed to inject new talent that was going
Mm-hmm.
to be around for a while. And I think they managed to pull that off fairly well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Got my Spider-Man tickets. Woo.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And by tickets, I mean ticket because I'm going alone. It's gonna be the best.
When do you go see it?
Where is? Did I not put it on my calendar? Apparently not.
Turns out you bought your ticket for yesterday.
I know. It's not out yet though. I think Thursday is when it opens.
Tomorrow? No, that'd be the day after for you.
Yeah. Day after for me.
'Cause it's out
Okay,
tomorrow
where's my
for me.
account? Right.
Yeah, I can go see it at midnight tonight if I wanted to, if I wasn't working.
Ooh, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Stupid work. Yeah. I got my ticket for 3 p.m. on Thursday. So
Okay. So as long as I see it before that, I can spoil it for you.
you totally could. Absolutely.
I'll just text you all the spoilers.
Yeah.
I'd do that. It sounds like me.
That sounds like you. You do that all the time. Yeah.
Name once. Exactly.
Not...
You can't do it.
Nope, can't do it. It's never happened.
Yeah. Literally never happened.
Yeah. So Reddit's all aflame about President Biden basically saying, all right, all this deferment of student loan payments needs to end in February. And everybody's like, you said you were going to do something about this when you were running for president against Trump. And then, totally backtracked on it. So everyone's very upset. It's such a tough position for a lot of people these days for politics, because it's like, yeah, Trump was the worst and he wasn't doing anything for us. But then, we elected these Democrats who said they were going to do things for us and they're not. So, what do we do? And I just feel like there's a movement happening, and I don't know how big it is, and I don't know if it's ever going to turn into anything whatsoever, but there are a lot of people very disgruntled about the general state of things in the United States right now.
I can believe that, yeah.
There's a new sub that popped up a couple months ago called Anti-Work that is largely just a workers' rights subreddit.
Right. I have been browsing Anti-Work for a while now.
You've been checking it out? Yeah, it's made the front page constantly, every minute of every day for a while now. And yeah, I mean, it's basically like, if we demand pay enough, we demand good working conditions. We're willing to strike if we don't get those things. We want to set up unions. We want all this stuff. And the student loan repayments are a problem, and inflation's a problem, and wages not increasing fast enough is a problem. And yeah, I mean, I do think for a while after Biden was elected, people are like, okay, thank goodness we've got an adult in the White House. He talked about all these different things before he got elected. Let's give him some time. Let's get it done. And then, it could be a complete 180 is just a betrayal to a lot of people. So
right.
I guess we'll see. And I mean, a bunch of people are like, I'm not voting for Biden again. And it's like, so you're going to vote for the Republicans? They're like, we've talked about the meme, right? Where it's the tweet goes, the people of the United States, please help us. Republicans, no. Democrats, no. Rainbow sign, #BLM. So it's this a socially woke version of we will represent you. But when it comes to the economics of the country, nah, we're not there for you. So a bunch of people are like, we're going to vote Republican in the midterms. And it's like, well, how is that going to help you? I understand you're pissed at the Democrats right now, but the Republicans aren't going to do anything. They're not even going to give you lip service. It just sucks. I don't know what to do.
The party we voted for isn't getting enough done. I know. We'll make it harder for them to do stuff for the rest of the term. It'll be fine.
Maybe we'll scare them into doing stuff for us later.
I mean, yeah, I don't
know.
If the idea is that if we vote elsewhere, that'll scare them into doing stuff, you don't need to, that's not a new threat. They know that all they have term limits. You're going to have to vote again at some point. Everything they do now is done with the impact of knowing, will I be reelected, right? Or will my party be reelected? They're already making those decisions with that in mind. So the idea of threatening to vote somewhere else isn't new or something they haven't considered.
It's not. And they all know that, sure, you might vote in the Republicans for a while, but they really suck. And you'll come back to us. You always do. And it's just, it's a total, it's a trap. I don't know. I do like the idea of a third party, but it's so hard the way the system is set up right now to get a third party off the ground. No matter what it's trying to do, no matter what your third party's principles are.
Right.
But I don't know. I think maybe a workers' rights style party might be able to get enough support to get off the ground.
Maybe.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone tried it and did get enough support. Just harping on the fact that the Republicans want nothing to do with helping us. The Democrats say they do and lie about it. Where are we going to turn? Here's a new party. Let's try this. If that's
So,
all the messaging is, I don't know. Maybe.
so I think the problem might be that the Workers' Party, American Workers' Party, is already a party, and it is the Socialist Party. So I think
Right.
if you come in under that banner, people are just be like, they're socialists. Never mind.
I know, but socialism doesn't mean anything. We've talked about this.
Right.
And like there's a difference between
Okay.
the turning over of industry to the government and option B, fighting for workers' rights, getting them better pay and better benefits.
Right.
That's a different thing.
I'm just saying that the connotation of being associated with socialism has a negative connotation and a stigma associated in America.
100%.
That is my point here. Not that it is socialism to want, an increase in the minimum wage or to be able to afford housing or healthcare, right?
Yeah. And you're right, but I don't know. I think even a bunch of right-wing people who would naturally be like socialism is of the devil would be like, look, if somebody comes to them and says, we're going to fight to get you higher wages and a better standard of living, who's going to be like, get off my porch, right?
Right.
If things are fine with you, great. Then you tell them to get off your porch. I don't need you, right? But if you're struggling and the price of things are increasing thanks to inflation and your wages aren't growing, or they're going down, you're getting benefits taken away from you, then that resonates with you. And then I think even the most staunch right-winger would be like, we do need more help.
Maybe.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe. And then maybe they look into it and all their friends go, that's the socialist group. Like, and don't.
Partially that, and partially I think there's always, it's something I've only seen online, having not interacted face to face with a lot of Americans, go figure, not living in America. But there's definitely comes across an air of you got to work hard to make it. Like you should be busting your ass. And the idea that someone's just going to come in and be like, "Hey, we're just trying to get workers better rights," and be like, "Wait a minute, you mean I bought this house working 7 days a week for 40 years, and you're just going to come in and hand it to some people?" And there's resentment there.
There is, and that's a big part of the student loan problem too.
Right.
Is there are more people in the country who have paid off their loans, and they say, "I worked hard and I paid off my loans. Why can't these kids do it? Why should I support them getting their loans paid off for free? These lazy bastards," right?
Right. I mean,
same thing. Totally.
Yeah. For that, I would say, yeah, but look at the price difference in what your loans were. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing. It's nuance, and it's hard for our brains to process nuance. It's easier to say communist over here, capitalist over here.
Right.
It takes more brain power to like sift through all the middle areas and find out exactly where you land on that scale, because very few of us are just communists or just hardcore capitalists, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All I can remember about student loans is when I was in high school, we had a careers advisor teacher called Mr. Hodges, who said when he went to university in Australia, he had to pay $49 for his ID card, and students at the time were upset they had to pay it. That was it.
Yeah.
That was their entire administration fees. That was it. They had no student loans.
That was
it.
Oh, there wasn't even like a tuition?
No, because we used to have free universities. Like,
okay. So you pay $49 once, and you get 4 years of university.
Yeah, and you get to be
people
a teacher.
Complained about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And yes, that's the thing. You need to. Okay, you go to Thanksgiving and you're like, my student loans are killing me, and your great aunt says, die in a fire. I paid off my loans. Why aren't you working hard, right?
Right.
And then you have to sit them down and be like, look, here's what this amount is. If we go back 40 years and look at the inflation calculator, this is how much it would have been for you.
Ooh, right.
And then they say, oh.
Right.
Oh, and then they can understand, but it takes that extra couple steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's
Hmm.
there was a very popular clip on Reddit. I don't remember where it is, but it's this woman basically realizing that her student loans are growing. Like she's been out of college for like 8 years and has been paying it off, and hasn't really been looking at it. And she's finally clicked and like, oh, I've been looking at the payments I've made, and because of interest, it's increasing. Like I have endless debt now. It's like I can't pay this off.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
There's a couple thoughts there, but go ahead.
I mean, as someone who doesn't have student loans, I can sympathize, but if you have more thoughts, I'm happy to hear.
Well, so someone did the math, right? So
Yeah.
they took it to they did the math subreddit,
Uh-huh.
and this person did all of the work for it. And look, this is a 15% student loan, which nobody's paying
Mhm.
except for super high-end secondary postgraduate work for people who are rich anyway. So this is
Mm.
not somebody busting their butt for a bachelor's in science
Okay.
and paying 15% on their loans.
Mhm.
The other thing is they're paying only the interest. They are paying less than the interest every month. So of course the money's going up and it's
Right.
not going down because you're doing it wrong. You need to throw money at the principal for the principal to go
Yeah.
down.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's all. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that student loans aren't a problem, but if you have a student loan that you're not paying anything towards the principal on,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not going to go away. Pro tip.
Go figure.
Yeah.
See, because when I watched that video, I was pretty sure like that. In my mind, I was like, obviously she's paying off more than the interest, right, per month, clearly, because I mean, how do you take a loan and then not do that? Like, obviously, if you can't some months or whatever, right? Like, I'm not saying there aren't other
Because
bills, but how do you just go, oh, I'm just not going to pay the principal? I don't
because
understand.
you're an idiot, and two, your loan company is totally fine with that
Mm,
because you will pay them forever until you die.
right. Yeah.
They are fine with your loan never going away as long as you pay them something every month, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you can be an idiot and not recognize that you're doing this wrong, and they're not going to tell you.
Hmm.
The loan company is not going to be like, "Hey, you actually have to put money towards the principal for this to work," because they don't care.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, so again, it's just nuance.
Hmm.
It's just it's easier to look at something and say this is bad, this is good, than be like, all right, here are the parts of it that make sense. Here's the parts of it that don't make sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I always get mad when someone on Reddit's like, and there's people starving to death in the streets. It's like, look, there are federal programs for food and for assistance. Do you not know about these programs? Entirely possible. We do a terrible job advertising them.
Hmm.
Are there people struggling because they don't know what's available to them through the federal government? Yes, 1 billion%.
Hmm.
But there are programs for the poorest among us to get food and to get housing and to get medical care. So we have the safety net. It's there.
Well,
It's probably not as good as it should be.
right. I
And we
would.
should do a better job helping people get access to it and understand what it is.
You have a safety net, right? Like, that doesn't make it a good safety net. And also,
Yeah.
you can argue that having a safety net like that doesn't mean much if even people like there was some statistic where like 60% of teachers or nurses or something are also on food stamps. It's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, these people in what is a relatively specialized job also can't make enough to feed themselves or their families, right? Like, if you have a safety net to feed the people who need it the most, and the people who also have jobs need them, like the fact that you have a safety net is just going to be overweighed with other people, and it's like might not get to the people who like, because obviously the people who have jobs but
Mm.
still need safety net probably have more access to transportation than say a homeless person who has no income. Just getting to like a soup kitchen or some shit, right, is probably harder for these people.
Yeah, it can be. I mean,
It's all
yeah.
intertwined and difficult to look at and point to a single
Hmm.
point. Yeah.
There are 3 separate issues in there for sure. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, it's all nuance and it's
Mhm.
all complicated,
Yeah.
and it's hard for a post on Reddit that's nuanced and complicated to get up votes because people are like, I don't know about this.
Hmm.
It's easier just to be like, this sucks. This is great.
Hmm.
Give me up votes.
Holy shit. Sorry, I was just on Twitter. Have you seen TLO's most recent tweet about
Yeah,
how
I
to get a
did.
deep tissue massage? What the hell is that?
It's a deep tissue massage.
Is that what it looks like? Like, is it
I've
supposed to look like
seen
that?
similar things. Yes, they beat the hell out of you.
The fuck?
I've
Someone.
seen. I've talked to people who've gotten it, and they are like deep. And when they say deep tissue, they
They
mean
mean
deep.
deep.
They're on top of you with elbows, like "Gah, gah, gah," working it in
Right.
there. Yeah.
Someone in the replies being like, beef jerky. Which, I mean, I'm not going to eat jerky now for a while. Thanks.
Well done. Thank you for that.
I might buy TLO branded beef jerky, though. I might do that.
Put it on the TLO store.
Oh.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're basically at time.
I think so.
Mhm.
So one last thing.
Okay.
So CoinMarketCap, right? There's a crypto platform.
Sure. Yeah.
There was a bug today where apparently like Bitcoin was trading at like $219 billion a coin.
Okay.
So everybody's wallets, they have like price threshold notifications. So basically everybody was at least a millionaire. There were a lot of billionaires and a few trillionaires
Mhm.
floating around today for about 5 minutes.
I mean, I wonder if there's any of the like wallets or trading apps that use Coin Marketplace as their as where they get their price from, and anyone that had like sell sales set to be like, yes, if it hits this price, sell.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if that happened.
No, I read some stuff. They were not honoring anything to do with that glitch.
Okay.
Nobody was taking cells to do with
Right.
that whatsoever.
No, obviously. I'm just wondering if there's any like
No.
automatic stuff set up trying to go. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know in particular. I have to look into that, but
Hmm.
yeah, there were a bunch of people who were like, my phone dinged, and I look at it and I had a heart attack.
My phone ding, and I could pay off my student loans.
Yeah, I called my boss and told him where he could stick it.
Piece of advice for everyone: if you ever win the lotto or wake up and find your crypto investments have turned you into a billionaire, wait a day.
Yeah, like just give it a chance to settle before you do anything rash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wait a
Yeah.
day.
Very funny stuff. Anyway, that is it. So
Sounds great.
it's good. Good pod. Good to be back.
Yep, good to be back.
All right, cool. So that is going to be it from us today. This has been Falcon Paladin and Somicron as part of the Falcon Paladin Hour, a weekly podcast that we do at twitch.tv/Somicron every Tuesday or Wednesday if you happen to be in different time zones. Feel free to support the podcast directly at patreon.com/Somicron. You can also check out the merch at falconpaladin.store if you're into merch, and it's a good time for that Christmas season. So
it's true.
we take orders from almost all the places.
If I was smart, I would have set up a discount code that people could use for Christmas. Except I've forgotten to do that because I'm not smart. But I believe the one 10% off for using code Brood War is still available.
Excellent. So 10% off. Yep. Code Brood War.
Yeah. One word.
Works. No spaces.
No spaces.
No nothings.
All caps. Yep. 15% off. Even better. Look at that.
Oh.
15% off for Brood War.
Oh man. You can't pass that up.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think we take orders from like North Korea, but I think most places we do.
No. You cannot. One, North Koreans don't have access to the internet. We will not ship to North Korea, no. But pretty much everywhere else, I think we will. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. All right, that's it from us. Check us out again next week. Be here, come say hi, and until then, stay safe and stay healthy, and above all, you take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Goodbye.